Okay. Let's focus again on the word congruent. What is our sign for congruent? It's an equal sign with a half of a approximately sign up above it, I'd say. Okay? To be congruent, it basically says that two things are the same size and shape. And those are the two words that I want to focus on, size and shape. One thing that will help you with something like geometry is trying to relate what they're talking about to is the things you're used to knowing about. Okay? When I have don't write this down, I'll get a different piece of paper. But what I'd like to ask you guys, when I draw, I'm going to draw a triangle. Look at those two triangles right there. Don't draw this. Do they look like they're the same shape?
Yes.
They really do look like the same shape. However, do they look like, what do you think, Damon? Do those two look like they're the same size? What do you think, Bob?
No.
They don't look like the same size, do they? Why are they the same shape and not the same size? What do you think, Dee? Dee? Why do you think those aren't the same? Why are they the same shape? And look at that and tell me if you can have a guess why they might be the same shape. And it's okay to be wrong. Carson, help him out. What do you think? What, it's okay to be wrong. Just look at that and tell me, what do you think makes the, about the things you know about geometry, what do you think makes that thing, why are they the same shape? Okay, so they both have points? Is that what you said? I couldn't hear the first word.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, they both have 3 points. Okay. That one has 3 points, doesn't it?
That's not the same shape.
It's not really the same shape, is it? So better yet, if we look at these 3, why is that one a different shape than these 2? What changed? See, and that's part of what you're trying to figure out in geometry. A lot of times, sometimes it's easier to figure out not what stayed the same, but what
Changed.
What changed. What did change? Why is this one a different shape than these 2? What changed?
The angles.
Yeah, look at it. This top angle looks to be, about that, right? Obviously, is this a bigger angle than that one?
Yeah.
And that one? Okay. So, with that in mind, we know why this one's what? Different shape. Why are these 2 the same shape? How about I give these so we have a way to label them?
Because their sides are.
Well, no, why are they the same shape? Now, we said this one is a different shape because it had different what?
Angles.
Angles. So with that in mind, if this was a different shape because it had different angles, why do you think these are the same shape?
Same angle.
Look at angle A and angle D. What do you think about that? Hey, come on, guys. Focus. Stay with me.
They're the same.
Does angle A and angle D, do they look like they're about the same angle?
Yeah.
How about angle C and angle F? How about angle B and angle E? So the reason they're the same shape is because it looks like they have the same what?
Angles.
And guess what? That's right. Now, my question to you is, why are they different?
Different
Size.
sizes.
They don't have the
The
same
length of
segments.
Length of the lines.
Okay, I heard different segments and I heard length of the lines. What do you think? How do you think about that? That makes sense to me. Because look, even though A and D look to be the same angle, AC and DF, are they the same size?
No.
So, and look at AB and DE. They're different what? You have different sides, don't they? So they're the same shape because they have the same what?
Angles.
But they're different sizes because they have different what? Sides. So anytime you have any kind of figure, okay, in geometry, this is a four-sided figure. What do you think makes up that figure? And this is important, and I know I'm going off into a general concept thing. This will really help you from this point forward if you understand this. You know, when you think of an engine, or you think of, yeah, an engine, it's made of parts and metal, and, you know, there's pistons, there's wheels, there's a bunch of stuff that makes a car, right? What makes a shape?
Lines, ankles.
No, lines go on forever and ever.
Angles and points.
What makes this shape? It has some angles. That defines what the shape looks like, and it has some what?
Point.
Doesn't it have angles and sides? The angles are how kind of this shape connects to this shape, isn't it? Or this side connects to this side. Agreed? Because you see, I can draw one a little different. That one looks like that. If I want to draw one that was a little bit different shape, I could do like that. Couldn't I? Isn't that angle different than that angle? Isn't this angle look a little different than that angle?
Yeah.
And then I could send this one like that. So the angles made a different shape, and the sides made a different size, didn't they? So basically, anytime you have a triangle, you have a four-sided figure, rectangle, what is it always made of? Angles and what? Sides. So, back to the point at hand. Congruent means two things are the same size and shape. Size is determined, and I do want you to read this, by the what? Sides. Shape is determined by the what? Angles. When we have a figure, it's going to be made up of sides and what? Angles. And we're going to deal a lot with triangles. We're going to deal a lot with four-sided, five-sided, six-sided figures. Basically, polygons is what they're all called. And they are defined by the angles and the sides. That's how they define how they look. What do we know about triangles? So far, all we know is that the angles have to add to what?
180.
And of course, I'm talking about the interior angles, aren't I? Those three angles inside. And there's three of them, right? For it to be a triangle, they have to add to 180 degrees. There is a relationship that has to happen between the sides. It's called the triangle inequality, and we'll get to that in due time. But right now, all we're going to talk about is congruent triangles. And the reason I wanted... So if I had two congruent triangles, two congruent triangles would have the same what? The word congruent means what? Shape
And size.
and what?
Size.
Because that's what makes something congruent. So what could I put instead of the word shape?
Figure.
What word? What determines the shape? What determines? Oh, I said shape and sides. I meant to say shape and what? Size. I just messed up my lead into it, didn't I? I said the answer before I wrote the problem, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
So, congruent triangles have the same shape and size. What determines the size?
Angles and size.
Sides. So now what I would like you to do is use the lines here to draw yourself two triangles that are roughly, look, I want you to draw two congruent triangles on your paper. So with that in mind, And I want you to do your best to try to draw two congruent triangles. You guys do that on your own? I'm gonna do it on my own. If you'd like to, you can watch how I'm doing it here. There is a method to what I'm doing. Does anybody have an idea what I'm trying to do here?
Draw a congruent triangle.
Trying to draw congruent triangles. Do you guys notice I'm being kind of picky? I mean, I know you guys can see the numbers and what I'm doing. Am I using this ruler?
Yes.
Why do you think I'm doing that?
That way they aren't included.
I'm trying to make them the same what? Size and shape. And what determines that?
Angles and sides.
Angles and size. We'll call this triangle A, B, C, and triangle, call this D, E, F. Does it look like I drew pretty close to two congruent triangles?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that by measuring the sides and using these horizontal grid lines. Come on, wake up. Okay, sit up tight. Look up here. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Sit up. Now, and guys, and you know, go off on a tangent. The reason I go slow and I try to talk about stuff is that's why this is an inclusion class. We have the luxury of being able to almost talk about a section because what are we going to do tomorrow? Work on it in class, right? So we take our time. Please try to stay focused and ask questions, get involved. What do you think I'm leading you to right here? Can anybody, we said that would have the same, two congruent triangles have the same shape and size. What do you think, just if there's one thing you could tell me about these two triangles, what do you think it could be? Give me a statement. They're congruent. Give me more detail about a part.
The angle will be the same.
Okay, give me a specific angle.
Same sides.
E and F are equal.
Yes.
Okay. What's equal?
E and F.
B. So you guys are saying that you think angle B would be congruent to angle E. Correct?
Yeah.
I agree with you.
A and D.
You also think that angle A would be congruent to what?
D. And C and
You think angle C would be congruent to angle what?
F.
Good. Now, but I have a question. You know, I was real general up here and I said I have the same, you know, congruent triangles have the same angles and sides. Why is angle B not congruent to angle D? Can anybody answer that question? Yeah, they're not the same angle, but
They don't.
what is it like I did here? It's like I took a copy machine, right? Would you guys agree? Everybody look up here. I took a copy machine and what did I do to triangle ABC to draw the thing on the right? I pressed copy, right? And I made an exact copy of it over here. Well, these things, or what these are called, what these are called is corresponding, and that's the word you're going to see, parts. Because aren't the angles the parts of it? And these are all the what? Corresponding angles. Are they not? And what we mean by corresponding is when you make a copy of this triangle here, what is the copy of angle A? That's why they correspond. It's the copy of each other, right? It's at the same place. What is the copy of angle B? Angle E. What is the copy of angle C? Okay. What other corresponding parts could there be here? Anybody? What did we say makes up a triangle?
Angles and sides.
Angles and sides. What did we say? That two congruent triangles have the same what? Shape and?
Size.
Size BC and sides EF.
Okay, so you think, what is the copy of BC?
EF.
So would you say those two are corresponding parts?
Yes.
So we could say that segment BC is what? Congruent to segment what?
Yes.
Would everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Is there any more parts?
AB and DE.
AB is congruent to what?
AC and DF.
So AB is congruent to DE. Okay, our last one,
AC and DF.
AC is congruent to what?
EF.
What are these? These are corresponding parts, but what are they? They're corresponding.
Sides.
Sides.
And
Sides.
on the roll.
So when I say this triangle is congruent to this triangle, I'm saying all of that, aren't I? Now, how are we going to tell what corresponds to what? Because you could have two. Have you ever seen a triangle where it looks like this side's almost congruent to that side? It can be tough to tell what corresponds to what. Well, the key to all this is to write a proper congruency statement. Proper congruency statement. They are always written in, big important thing here, corresponding order. I'm going to give you an example of a correct congruency statement here for the above triangle. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. And then I'm going to show you one over here that's what?
Incorrect.
Incorrect. Now see if you can tell the difference. Triangle BCA is congruent to triangle FED. Why is that incorrect?
Because you left out on the DEF, you left out the EF, and on the ABC, you left out the AB side.
No?
Because they're in the wrong order. Plus, FEB doesn't have a triangle thing by the way.
Everybody get this written down and then we'll talk about it. This is something that those of you that always think you need to see a picture, it's very, very handy to understand this and know this. And we're going to do a question right after this that deals with this. Okay, we're spending a long time talking about fundamentals of congruent triangles here because it's something you're going to deal with a lot. If you'll understand these, it'll help some other things make sense. But it's important we get this. And this is something that, in my opinion, is not made a big deal as it should be. Guys, I don't even need this picture if I write a correct congruency statement. Now, what did I tell you? It needs to be in what? Corresponding order, right? Now, there's there's a bunch of different ways to write triangle ABC. I'll tell you another correct way. Triangle CAB is congruent to triangle FDE. That is also correct. That is also a correct congruency statement. Basically, your order should follow these parts right over here. And the easiest way to think of it is by the angles. The reason this is correct is what is the copy of A? D. I wrote A first, so I need to write A's copy first on my triangle over here. What is the copy of B? So I needed to write E next. What's the copy of C? Now, look at here. What's the copy of B?
E.
What did I write first over here?
F.
Right now. Is that a correct congruency statement?
No.
Wake up. Because what should correspond with B? What should be first?
E.
Corrected. One, I should have the triangle sign there. Two, it should be, if I was going to go with B first, what corresponds with B?
E.
And then the next thing is
F.
C. So what should be next?
F.
And then I put what? A. So what should be next?
D.
That would be correct. Now this is corrected. You guys see the difference? You see what I'm talking about? Why is this right? What corresponds to C? If I wrote this right, C and F should correspond, do they? So they both have the 3 marks, they're congruent. If I did this right, A and D should correspond, do they? If I did this right, B and what? E should be next, are they?
Yes.
Okay. What would be another possible way? There's all kinds of different ones in there. And really the key is, write down how you want to name the triangle. I went to the right, going in a circle every time, didn't I? How about I go to the left? B, A, C is congruent to.
E.
Now I just need to make sure I go the same way.
D. F.
What corresponds to B?
E.
E, and then what?
E. F.
Okay? You guys understand congruency statements now, and how they have to be in corresponding order. It is not, and you'll have answers on a test where they'll be naming both triangles, in a correct way, but they're not writing the congruency statement correctly, because they need to be in corresponding order. The reason is I'm going to put one question on here that I would like you guys to answer. I would like you to name the angles and sides congruent in the following congruent triangles. Did I draw them? No. I don't need to. Because when the book or a teacher writes down a congruency statement, what do you need to assume about that?
It's true.
That it's written down correctly. And it's written in what order? Corresponding. See if you guys can name all the angles congruent there correctly and all the sides. There is only one way to do this. Now, you could have it in different order, like if you were going to say angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, it could be angle 2 is congruent to angle 1. But there's only one way to do this. Try it. And you can always erase what you write. Try it right now. I want all of you to try it. See if you can name down all the congruent corresponding parts that are congruent. You don't need a picture. In fact, the best thing to go off is a congruency statement, not the picture. However, if you're not given one, then you got to go by the picture. Shot. One thing you guys can do too is look up here at my correct congruency statements and look at what I had as the parts right above it. That'll help you. Come on, everybody try. Write something down. You know there's going to be 3 sets of angles congruent and 3 sets of sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would like everybody to try. Write 3 sets, angle, first of all, what are the 3 angles in this one going to be? Angle S, angle T, and angle V, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 angles in here would be W, X, and Y, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what are the sides going to be? S to T, T to V, and S to V, right? Just try it. You'd be amazed at how well you learn from mistakes. That's the whole reason I want you to try it, no matter how wrong it is right now. Just name, we're looking at that statement right here. I would like you to write down 3 angles you think are congruent, because the 2 triangles are congruent, and 3 sides, 3 sets of sides. Okay? You can do that. I have faith in you. I'm not saying you're all going to do it correctly, but I'm saying you can all what?
Learn from it.
Try.
Oh.
Even you, Court, try, big boy. I'm going to start calling out names if I don't see people, see pencils moving.
Depends if you move.
Try. That's all I'm asking out of you. What we're doing, I'm wanting everybody right here to look at those and see if they can tell me what the corresponding parts would be, like I did up here. There's no picture, but you don't need a picture.
Let's see.
If you're gonna understand congruent triangles, if I have to take 2 to 3 days to do this, because I'm telling you, you're gonna deal with this concept or comparing this triangle, this figure, a lot from this point on. So we need to get this. We need to understand the concept of what we're talking about. Okay? I know it's tough for some of you. Some people need to look at this and make pictures. Just pay attention to detail. You're going to have 3 what? Sets of congruent angles that are congruent, and 3 sets of what? Okay, the first one. This is how I would do this. 1, I know that this is written in corresponding order because it's stated, it's a congruency statement, it should be stated correctly. I then know that the first thing written down in this triangle has to correspond to the what? First thing written down over here. So then I know that angle S has to be congruent to angle W, because they have to be in corresponding order, right? The copy of this has to be first on this one. I mean, you guys can understand the concept of order, right? What order things are in. Well, angle. What's the second one I wrote down and the one on the left?
T.
Angle T. In a correct congruency statement, the second one over here corresponds to it, right? It's written in corresponding order. So it's got to be congruent to angle what? X. What's the third one? They wrote the third one down, angle V. It would have to be congruent to the third one written down over here, which is angle Y. That's easy, isn't it? But if maybe you caught just a little bit of what I said before, yes, you may be like, oh yeah, that's easy, because you didn't, where you're in and out focusing with this stuff up here. With sides, maybe this is a little harder, but in essence, aren't these written down in an order that you draw it or connect it?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the sides, now we only use one point to name an angle, but we need to use two to name the start and the end, right? Wouldn't a side be from S to T? Well, since these two, whatever two correspond to these, are the two that need to make the corresponding side. So if S and T make a side, what side would correspond to it? The first two here. WX. Make sense? Now, what's the next two? T and what?
TV.
TV would be congruent to?
XY.
That is pretty simple, isn't it?
Yep.
The last one that sometimes gives people problems because you kind of, it's not written. I usually go from now the first one to the,
Last one.
so SV is congruent to
Y.
Y. Now, are you wrong if you wrote VT is congruent to YX? No, as long as you went from third to second and third to second. Do you see what I mean? This is the first one, the second one, the third one. If you wrote, instead of SV, if you wrote VS, it's congruent to YW. Are you right? Yeah. So there's different ways to write it, but it's the same side, isn't it? So do you see how we don't even need a picture to tell what the corresponding parts are? Would everyone agree with that? Last thing I'd like to talk about, and what I want you to do is I may have you turn those worksheets in. We're going to do them the first day tomorrow, because I think I don't have time because I got wordy today.
Yeah.
But I'm going to draw two congruent triangles, and I want to see if you guys can tell me what corresponds to what.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that these two are what? Congruent. Now, they don't really look like it. I didn't do the best job of drawing it, did I? But they're not always, go up to here, going to make it so nice and pretty, angled the same way, drawn exactly alike, so it's really easy to see the corresponding parts. So what if all you were given was a picture here, what would you go by? Well, what I would probably go by, hopefully, what's tough sometimes is if these are really close to the same size.
Yeah.
But I might look at either the shortest or the longest side. Kind of get me somewhere to start. What's the shortest side in this one? This is the one time you need to go by the picture. So I would say, what corresponds to AB? If this is the shortest side over here, I need to make sure and pick the what side over here?
Shortest.
Shortest over here. So it would be that one, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone agree?
Yep.
Okay. What looks like the second longest side over here?
B. BC.
What looks like the second longest side over here?
B.
What looks like the biggest side?
AC.
Right? Now, sometimes people have, sometimes to me, I think everybody, do you guys see length of sides probably able to estimate that in your head better than you are size of angles? Probably more so. That's why I suggest starting with the sides on something like this, because usually we're all better at knowing that the distance from here looks to be this much and that one looks to be a little more, right? Now, simply look at your marks. Angle A is where the 1 mark and the what? 3 mark meet. So the one that corresponds to angle A would need to be where the what? 1 mark and the what?
3 mark.
Which would be V. The one that, don't stop putting your stuff up. Angle B would be congruent to, well, that one's where the 1 mark and the what?
2.
Where does the 1 mark and the 2 mark meet over here?
B.
Shh. Everyone agree? Where does the Angle C is where the what? 2 mark and the 3 mark meet. Where does the 2 mark and the 3 mark meet here?
X.
X. X.
So you see how you can find all those corresponding and congruent parts? Okay?